Good morning dear students, and welcome to the fourth chapter of Science B, which is environmental management. Now environmental management is not something new that you are going to be introduced to. It's not a new topic for you. This is something that you have been learning all along, right from the time you actually started studying about EVS or environmental studies. Okay, so as I said, this topic is not anything new for you. It is something to do with our environment. It is something to do with everything that is around us. Okay, the main thing is you have to understand what is our bit, what is our relationship with our environment, and try to do something about it, because right now we are facing a lot of problems in the environment. So understanding things about the environment, understanding how the environment functions is what is very much required. So that is why we are going to be studying this chapter today, environmental management. What is an ecosystem? Ecosystem is everything around us. Okay, for example, in this particular picture, if I ask you what is the ecosystem, what is the ecosystem that you see in this particular picture, you can say that this is a pond ecosystem, wherein you have water, you have fishes, you have aquatic plants growing in the water, you have aquatic animals around, you have frogs, you have tortoises. Then around the pond you have different animals which come to drink water from that pond. You have a deer over here, you have many other animals which are shown in this picture. Apart from that, you have plants which are growing around the pond. Okay, so your ecosystem is not only the living things which are present in that particular place, but it also includes the non-living things which are present in the place. For example, the log of wood which is present over here, the mud which is present over here, the water which is present over here, all these non-living things are also a part of the ecosystem. So basically, if I ask you what are the components of an ecosystem, your ecosystem is made up of two components, which are biotic and abiotic. Biotic means everything which is living. All the things in an environment or in an ecosystem which are supposed to be living things, they are your biotic component of the ecosystem. And all the other things which are non-living, they come under the abiotic components of the ecosystem. So if we wonder what are the different living things, we can say the different plants, the different animals, the different microorganisms, which include the protists, the fungus, the bacteria. All these things are included under the biotic component of the ecosystem. And what are the abiotic or what are the non-living things which are present in the ecosystem? You can say that is the water, the soil, the air, the minerals, the light, the sunlight that we get. All these things form the abiotic component of the ecosystem. When we study about ecosystem, we not only study about what is biotic and what is abiotic, but we understand that there is a certain interrelationship between these biotic and abiotic components. There is a constant interrelationship. It means that these biotic components are incomplete without the abiotic components. Both of them require each other for their survival. Next, what is the meaning of ecology? Ecology is a branch of science which basically deals with the interaction between biotic and abiotic components. So when we study ecology, we not only study about the living things and the non-living things which are present in the ecosystem, but we also study about the interactions which take place between both of them. The environment and the ecosystem. Now when we say ecosystem, we basically look at a very small picture. Okay, for example, this is a pie chart which is given over here. I can say that this part over here belongs to the desert ecosystem, where we have camels over here, we have sand which is shown over here. So this is a desert ecosystem. Now if I look at something over here, I can say this is the polar ecosystem, where you have ice which is shown, you have the penguins over here. Okay, then if I move on over here, I can see this is a more green area. This is more of a forest ecosystem, wherein you have these big green trees growing around, you have these animals and these birds which are flying around. So your ecosystem can be of different types. Okay, you have different ecosystems which are present on the earth, and all of these ecosystems together, when they come together, we call it as the environment. So when we look at our earth, on the earth, as you know, we have different types of ecosystems present. So we can say that our earth is the largest ecosystem. Next, we have different types of cycles which are present in the ecosystem. You've already learnt about it. Water cycle is something that you have been learning right from your childhood. Oxygen cycle, nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle is what you have already learnt in your 9th standard. You can always go back to your textbooks from the 9th standard and have a look at them. Okay, so these cycles are definitely required by the environment because it keeps a constant check between the different elements, like you can say oxygen, nitrogen and carbon. It keeps a check with regards to these environment with these elements and makes sure that these elements are present in the proper composition in the air. Okay, because if any of these things increase or decrease, it will directly affect all the living and non-living things which are present on the earth. If you have a look at this picture, it says the world as we see it right now and without us. So if we human beings are present on the earth, then our earth is looking something like this, wherein we have different statues built up, different monuments built up, different buildings which are set up, different types of constructed items which are present on the earth. But what if life on earth is suddenly possible, wherein humans are no longer present on the earth? Then your earth will definitely be covered with lots and lots of plants and trees. Okay, so I think this picture is quite meaningful. If human beings are present on the earth, then what we do is we do not care about the environment and we start building things for our own enjoyment, for our own satisfaction, and we are not at all worried about what is happening to the environment. But if the human beings are completely removed from the earth, or if I can say, if we human beings start thinking about the earth in a very positive manner and we start working towards the betterment of the earth, then definitely one day we would have our environment looking very much like this instead of like this. Now this picture also I can say is quite meaningful, wherein we have this part of the picture wherein you have factories showing. There is a lot of smoke being generated by these factories, and it has affected the environment. You can see the color of the sky, it has gone totally dark, and if you look at this tree, the tree is completely lifeless. But on the other hand, if we look at the same picture, you have these solar power generators which are over here, you have windmills over here. I'm not sure whether you can see it very clearly, but there are solar power generators which are present over here. There is windmills which are present over here. So in this part of the picture we are talking about things which are being used, but we are using natural resources for generation of different powers. For you can say that the wind is being used for generating electricity, solar power is being used for generating electricity. So what is happening over here? Because of this type of electricity generation or this type of power generation, it does not affect the plant over here or this tree over here. You can see that the tree is growing nicely, it's green. Even if you look at the clouds over here, the sky is clear, your clouds are looking very beautiful in the sky. Okay, so basically what it is talking about is that industrialization is definitely affecting the environment. It is causing a lot of pollution, and on the other hand, if we are using natural resources more, we can definitely make the earth a better place for survival. Conservation of environment. So till now you have already understood that conservation of the environment is definitely required, because it's not that we have got the earth from our ancestors as a gift, okay, that we can just go around using it as we wish. But the earth is something that we owe to our future generations. If we do not take care of the things which are present on the earth right now, if we do not take care of the earth right now, our future generations are not going to get anything. Okay, the biggest example that you are living in right now, if whichever country it is, if that particular country had not spread this virus of COVID-19, then we would have been living a proper life. We would have been living a normal life. We would have been coming to school. Our parents would have been going to office. Everything would have been normal. But what has happened is that because of one particular mistake of one particular country, it has affected the entire world. Okay, so it is very much like this. If we do not take care of the environment, we definitely cannot give a good earth for our future generations. So we have to definitely take care. And I would also like to quote a very famous words written by Mahatma Gandhi. He said that the earth is sufficient to satisfy everyone's needs, but it is not sufficient to satisfy everyone's greed. It means that on the earth we have enough amount of resources which are definitely enough to satisfy the basic needs of each and every human being. But when the human being becomes selfish, when the human being starts thinking only about himself and not about everyone else, that is when greed comes in. And when greed comes in, then even if you have everything, it's not enough for you. You want more and more. Okay, so as he says, the earth is enough to satisfy everyone's needs, but it is not enough to satisfy everyone's greed. Okay, next we look at the different factors which affect the environment. You have natural factors as well as man-made factors. Natural factors are something on which we do not have any control. We cannot control things which happen naturally. Okay, these include things like changes in the weather. You have summer season, winter season, rainy season. You have stormy nights, you have nights wherein you have lightning, you have days wherein it's quite smoky. Okay, so all these things are not controlled by human beings. We cannot control seasons. Earthquakes happening, natural forest fire taking place, you have tsunamis coming, you have storms coming, you have hurricanes coming. All this we cannot control. You have tidal waves wherein because of the attraction between the earth and the moon, the waves are being generated. At times the strength and the strength of the waves is quite a lot, which even causes destruction. Volcanoes, all these things are things which happen naturally and we cannot stop it. We cannot have any control with regards to all these natural factors. But on the other hand, we have some factors which are man-made and we have total control on these factors. What are they? Deforestation, unnecessary cutting down of trees, pollution being caused by industries, building of new roads, building of new highways, building of new different types of things by cutting down of forests, building of dams. Then bomb blasts, you have atomic blasts, you have nuclear blasts, you have wars. So these things are definitely man-made, and if man intends to take care of the environment, definitely he would stop all these. Okay, because we don't have control on this, but we have control on these factors. So if these factors are controlled by human beings, definitely it will have a huge impact on the environment. Now let's move on to environmental pollution. Over here also we have natural factors and man-made factors. The natural factors which cause pollution are things like excessive amount of pollen grains, volcanoes, methane gas. You have certain places which generate a lot of methane gas. So if anyone lives in that area, then it can have a very toxic effect on that on those people living near those areas. Ultraviolet rays, cosmic rays coming in from the space Okay, all these are natural factors. We cannot control any of these things happening. Man-made factors which cause pollution, you have population explosion, the amount of people being born on a daily basis causes a lot of population explosion, fast industrialization, new industries being set up on quite a regular basis, deforestation, cutting down of trees for building new buildings or for building making of new roads or highways or anything regards to that. Unplanned urbanization, wherein you don't plan a proper city, okay, you just go around making buildings, making roads, making different types of things, but you are not making gardens, you are not making parks, okay. All those things come under unplanned urbanization. Indiscriminate uses of natural resources, using of cars for short distances wherein we can easily walk out that particular distance, then all these things wherein we are not thinking of reducing the amount of wastage that we are actually doing. Also using electricity unnecessarily. There is a lot of sunlight coming into our houses, but still we want our lights on. Okay, this is also unnecessary usage. It is wastage of natural resources. Okay, so these things are controllable. It is under the control of human beings. As I said again, if we take care of this thing, all these things will definitely also help in reducing environmental pollution. Now, what are the different types of pollutions that you have already studied? You have studied about sound pollution, soil pollution, air pollution, thermal pollution or pollution generated due to heat, light pollution, water pollution. All these things are something that you have already covered in your previous classes. Radioactive pollution. Now, this is something new. Radioactive pollution can either be natural or artificial. When it's natural, it is caused by rays which come in from outside the earth, like the ultraviolet rays which enters the earth from the sun rays, and the infrared rays, which is cosmic rays. Okay, these both are natural radioactive pollutants. And just one second. Okay, so these are natural pollutants and we do not have control over it. Then we come to artificial radioactive pollution, wherein you have the X-rays which are used for different medical purposes. Overexposure of the X-rays can also be harmful to human beings. And radiations from atomic plants. Wherein you have different types of experiments being done with regards to nuclear substances. Okay, if there is any kind of leakage from those particular places, it can cause a lot of harmful radiations in the places around. The people living in the surrounding area can get harmed in a very harmful way. Okay, so these types of radiations, X-rays and radiations which are coming from atomic plants, these are something which can be controlled by human beings. What are the different effects of radiation? What happens due to all these radioactive pollution? Cancerous ulceration due to high radiation. When the radiation level is very high, it can cause cancer cells within the bodies of living things. Tissues in the body are destroyed. The tissues, the different organs, they can get destroyed. It can cause organ failures. Genetic changes occur and vision is adversely affected. Radiation can also cause changes in the genes. So mutation can take place, and once mutation takes place, we cannot do anything with regards to changes in the genes. Okay, it goes totally out of control. Humans don't have any control when it comes to genes. Vision is adversely affected. Radiations can also cause damage to the eyes, so naturally the vision is affected. Need for environmental conservation. Why exactly are we talking about, why exactly are we even having this chapter in our 10th standard? Why is it required that we need to take care of the environment? It is required to maintain a clean and a pollution free land, air and water. We need to take care of the environment because we require air, we require water, we require land, okay? And if we don't take care of the environment, these three things can get easily polluted. So that's the reason why, that's one of the reasons why we need environmental conservation. To protect and to conserve biodiversity. What is biodiversity? Biodiversity is the huge variety of plants and animals that we see around us. Okay, if we do not take care of the environment, what will happen is that slowly one by one, all these different plants and animals will start disappearing from the face of the earth. Okay, so if we don't want that happening, we have to take care of the environment. Next, give quality life and sustainable future to the next generations. Okay, as I said, we owe this earth to our future generations. We cannot say that this earth belongs only to us. We have to make sure that we have a proper, a decent earth to be handed over to our future generations. Give quality, okay, that is done. Solve natural and artificial problems. Okay, so natural things are not something that we can control. It happens and it is bound to happen. We cannot stop that, okay? But we have generated enough amount of technology due to which we can understand that, okay, earthquakes might happen. We can understand that storms can take place. So we can take care of things when we know that something is going to happen naturally, okay? So in that case, in that way, we can solve any problems related to natural factors. And what about artificial factors? Artificial factors are totally in control by the human being, so that we can definitely control, and all the problems which are related to it can also be solved. Conserve natural resources. All the natural resources like coal, different types of natural oils, petrol, diesel, all these things can be naturally conserved. We have to make sure that there is no wastage with regards to these things, and that will automatically lead to the conservation of these things. Maintain balance in nature. Balance in nature is definitely required because living things and non-living things, as I said, are constantly in an interrelationship with each other. If anything happens to one thing, the other thing is also affected. So in order to make sure that both the things are surviving properly, we have to make sure that there is a proper balance in nature. Environmental conservation is our social responsibility. Okay, human beings, as I said before also, we don't own the earth. The earth does not belong to us. The earth was present millions and millions years ago, even before the first human being walked on the earth. So we cannot say that this earth belongs to us. Okay, so if the earth does not belong to us, we have absolutely no rights to cause destruction to the earth. We have to make sure that we take care of the earth. Okay, we have to preserve the earth for our future generations. We cannot destroy it for our own satisfaction, for our greedy needs. So we humans, as I said, we have to make sure that we take care of the earth, and this is our social responsibility. Okay, it's not the work of one single person, it is the work of the entire society at large. There are different laws which are enacted for environmental conservation. Now, because we see that there is a lot of destruction happening in the environment, and how it is that human beings are directly responsible for a major part of this destruction, the government is also working into it and has made certain laws which are required for the preservation of the environment. The two laws which are already made before, which we do not know much about, but it is our duty to learn more about it. It is the Forest Conservation Act, which was introduced in 1980, and the Environmental Conservation Act, which was introduced in 1986. So the government already has laws with regards to environment. What are the things that we can do, what are the things that we cannot do, but at times we might not be even aware of it. Okay, and sometimes we might be aware of it, but we are least bothered about following the laws. But we have to make sure that the government also starts becoming strict and starts enforcing these laws strictly, so that once people are aware that there are certain fines, there is imprisonment in case if they do anything wrong to the environment. Once people understand this, automatically people will make sure that they don't commit certain mistakes, and what will happen is that finally we will be protecting our environment. There is this beautiful story of this particular person, JADAV MOLAI PAYENG. He lives in Assam. What happened is that many years ago there was a flood in the river Brahmaputra, and due to that the snakes which were present around that area, they started dying because they did not have any place for survival, okay, in that particular area. So at that time this particular person was just around 16 or 17 years old, and he saw those snakes die, and it bothered him a lot, okay. So he decided to do something about it. He was just one single person, but he started planting bamboo trees in that particular area, because what happens is that when the trees grow, they catch the soil, the roots of the plants, they catch hold of the soil, so that the soil does not get washed away by rivers or by floods, okay. And it also provides a solid ground for the animals which burrow into the soil, like snakes. So they have a proper place, a safe place to live in. So he started with 20 bamboo plants, and he started growing those particular plants in that particular area. And slowly it happened that the government came to know about this person, and they joined in with him in this particular thing that he was doing, okay. 2 to 3 years the government worked along with him. They started getting new plants and started planting the plants in that particular area. But after 2 or 3 years, what happened is that the government also stopped funding him, and they got out of the project. But this person did not stop his work. He continued with his planting, and he went on to take care of all the plants that he had planted, and now we have an entire forest which is present in that particular area. And as a recognition to this particular person, that forest has been named after him. The forest is called as the MOLAI forest, and you have many videos on YouTube with regards to his story. I suggest you can have a look at it, and you will understand that it's not actually required that you need loads and loads of people, millions of people to come together to save an environment. Even if one person decides that I want to do something for the environment, it can definitely happen, it can definitely work out, okay. And he is one of the greatest example, and he is famous all around the world, because he has done this. He has built this entire forest in the state of Assam. Environmental conservation and biodiversity. Now, what are the different types of biodiversity? How can we say that that there are different types of species around us? The first is genetic diversity, wherein it is diversity of genes within a species, okay. Now suppose if we take the example of human beings. All human beings are not the same, because each and every human being has its own set of genes. So we can say that we are all separate from each other due to genetic diversity. We have males, we have females, we have people who are white, who are brown, who are black. We have people whose eyes are small. We have people whose eyes are black. Whose eyes are big. You have people with You have people with black eyes, with green eyes, with brown eyes, with gray eyes. So you have different variations, okay. So this happens basically because of differences in the genes. So that is genetic diversity. Now what is species diversity? Diversity among species in an ecosystem. If we consider one particular ecosystem, say suppose the ecosystem of the polar area. So in the polar area, you will not just get one particular type of animal, okay. You will have seals, you will have polar bear, you will have penguins, you will have walruses. So all these different types of things which are present in that particular ecosystem comes under species diversity. Then we move on to ecosystem diversity. Ecosystem diversity is the diversity of a habitat in a given unit area. Now what is the meaning of this? Now over here I'll take the example of our country India. If we move from up to down, okay, if we look right on top, we have the Himalayas. Okay, what is the environment over there? The environment over there is very cold. You have snow falling in that region. As we move from up to down, in the middle section we will come and find that we have the desert region. Okay, then if we come down, we move on to the forest area, wherein we have forest and different types of plantations. So in a given particular area, we can see that there are different types of ecosystems which are present. Next we move on to the sacred groves of the Western Ghats. We have more than 13,000 sacred groves in India. Now what is the meaning of the sacred groves? Sacred groves are forests, and these forests have been specifically saved, and they have been specifically kept conserved with regards to a certain traditional mythological things which are associated with this particular forest. You must have seen that in some forest there are certain temples which are built, or certain monuments which are kept over there, or certain trees which are worshipped. Okay, so what happens is that the people have a very different type of association with those forests, so they don't allow anyone to come into that place and cut down those forests. So like this, we have more than 13,000 sacred forests spread all over India. Conservation of biodiversity. Why is biodiversity conservation required? These are some of the points. It is required for protecting the rare species of animals. Some species which are not available in large numbers, which are on the brink of extinction, we require to preserve those animals. Establishing national parks and sanctuaries. We require to make sure that there are a lot of parks and sanctuaries and national parks which are built to help in protecting the extinction of certain animals. Declaring some regions as bioreserves. We have to make sure that we don't go around cutting down all the different types of forests, or just going around building dams, building roads, building highways, or just going around constructing new buildings, because we have to make sure that there are some regions which are kept aside so that we have balance which is preserved in nature. Projects for conservation of social species, of special species. We have to make sure that there are special species which, as I said, are on the brink of extinction, or if we don't take care of them, it can happen that they can go into extinction. Conserving plants and animals, as we already discussed, if we don't take care of plants and animals, slowly it can happen that the number of these plants and animals can keep on reducing. Observing rules. We have to make sure that the rules which are set by the government are followed strictly, but first of all we have to know what those rules are, and once we know them, only then we will be able to imply them, and for this we have to make sure that we are well educated with regards to those rules. Maintaining record of traditional knowledge. Now there are a lot of things which was known by our ancestors which we don't know. Like they knew a lot of medicines with regards to Ayurvedic medicines, a lot of kadas and this and that. So we don't know that because we never had interest in that. We never took time to actually make a record of those things. So because of that, a lot of traditional knowledge is lost. But if we need those things to be preserved, we have to make sure that we are keeping a record of those knowledge. Now these are different symbols which are used by different organizations with regards to environment. Here it's the symbol of making sure that we don't litter, we don't dirty our environment. This is the logo for WWF, which is your World Wildlife Federation. Here it says there is a leaf over here, and there is the symbol of a plug over here, which means that we should try to use natural resources instead of using, electricity and all those kind of stuff. This is the symbol for recycle, reduce and reuse. Symbol for save water, and the symbol for the cycle, which indicates that we should be using a lot of we should avoid the use of cars and all that and start walking or start cycling. Okay. Now we move on to the next part, wherein we talk about the different animals that we say that are on the brink of extinction, but not all the animals come under the same list. Okay, there are some animals which may get extinct, there are some animals which may not get extinct. Okay, for example, these are the endangered species. This one is a lesser florican, this one is a lion-tailed monkey. Now these can get extinct in the near future if conservation measures are not implemented, which means that if we don't take care of these animals right now, if we don't preserve them, then it can happen that they can get extinct in the near future. They are not extinct right now, but they may get extinct if we do not take care. So they come under endangered species. Then you have something called as rare species. These include animals like the musk deer and the red panda. They can become extinct very fast. Okay, their numbers are quite less, and again, if you don't take care of it, they will be extinct very fast. Vulnerable species, these include the tiger and the lion. There is a continuous decline in their numbers, which is worrisome. Now, these are also on the point of extinction, but we cannot say that they will be extinct very soon. Okay, but we have to make sure that these animals are taken care of, they are not hunted down, so that they can go ahead and multiply and reproduce, and the numbers will increase. Next, these are indeterminate species. These this is a picture of a giant squirrel. Now these are animals which are very shy. Okay, they appear to be endangered due to their behavioral habits like shyness. Okay, these animals are very shy. They don't come out and move around in the environment very publicly. Okay, so the people who take care of this environment information, they don't know whether or not these animals are still existing, what is their numbers. They don't have any information. There is no definite information about it. So because there is no definite information which is available to the environmentalist, they do not know whether these animals are still alive, or are they even extinct, or are they on the verge of extinction. So this information is really not available because of their behavioral habits. Endangered heritage places. Now in India we have a few heritage places which are being maintained by the government, and which are providing a lot of protection to the animals which are there in it. You have the Manas National Park in Assam, which takes care of tigers and of rhinoceros. It's a huge place. People go to visit the place. Okay, they have these safaris which go on in these places. Then you have the Sundarban sanctuary in West Bengal, which is totally dedicated to the tigers. They take care of the tigers over there. And the Western Ghats, which are spread right from Gujarat, Maharashtra, Goa, Kerala and Tamil Nadu. These are the Western Ghats, which is providing a habitat for a large variety of animals. Okay, so this brings us to the end of our chapter. Basically, if we have to put this chapter in a nutshell, we have to make sure that we take care of the environment, because if we don't do it, the environment will not take care of us. So with this thought, my dear students, I end this chapter for today. Take care, stay safe and stay happy. Bye.